Hey, welcome back to Steel Car Garage. What is going on today? Did y'all have a good weekend? I hope so. I seen a NASCAR race on Sunday that was, tell you what, that Coda, I don't too much care for that. Not a lot of action, but it was a decent race, I guess. Hey, I left you last week. I was working on those brake lines, and I actually ran into a problem. I showed you how we bent that one, and so the driver's side, this is what it used to look like because it went to a proportioning block, non-adjustable, but it went to a proportioning block. And now it's going to have a single one that runs up to the master cylinder. But the good thing about it is this this will give us our bend. Really, the only big bend is we're going to have. This goes to your hose, and then this went to the block, so we can use this as a an example, or whatever you want to call it, on how to bend the one that we're working on. So had to get a new one, and let's take a look at this. Now what we'll do is this is the only bend I'm going to need. So put that in there like that and give it a little bend over. Now, when it comes in, I've already bent the top of this down to that. It's got to come off the brake. Let me go show you. Okay, right there's your hose. Right there. Then it will come through right up here and right up to your master cylinder. Now this was the shortest line that I could get. The next size down wouldn't fit. So I had to put a couple of bends in it to make it fit. So this will go right where I showed you it would go. And then it's going to be hooked to the bottom. Now, when you're, and I know you all have done this a million times, be careful, leave everything kind of loose, because it makes it easier when you're hooking it up down below. So let me show you that. Now see where I made that bend? And I don't hook the hose in until I have it tightened up. Gives you a little bit more freedom. Right there we are. It's in there. And there's your clamp to hold your hose on. And still got to bolt this up, which I've got those right here in this little package. Don't forget your brass crush gaskets. And this is pretty easy. One on the top, one on the bottom. Then it just goes right back in here. And bolt it up. You know what's easy? What makes it easier? We take out the plug. That makes it a lot easier. Be very careful because you can lose these crush gaskets. Will cause you a lot of problem. There we are, hooked up. There's what it looks like there. And then as you see, a little bit longer line, so I just made a couple of loops in it to take up some of the room. Now let me show you the other one that I put on the other day after we got done bending it. There they are. If you remember that bend that we did on the bottom, we're laying on the floor without a mat. I'm going to get dirty, but there it comes down. There's where they hook originally on both sides. So I got the bend just like original. Looks real good, nice and clean. And all the original little holders. Now, on this one, right here is where it comes up to. And we've got to get up to here. And this is what's going to do it. This is a 60-inch, and this is a 12-inch. Well, hold on a minute. And here's our connector. Now, if you're connecting brake lines, not a problem, but make sure you use one that looks like this. See the ferrule where that fits right in there and will seal. They make it without that, and all you're going to do is leak. So that's what you want to use. I want to put that back on there because it makes a difference. Now, so this is going to screw in. I hate that paper. Let me go get a knife and cut that off. Went to the parts house. 3 parts houses. All 3 of them were out of this. O'Reilly's, of course, is my parts house of choice. It's where I have an account. And the other 2 parts houses, nope, we're out. I said, well, can we go take a look at it? And they're like, no, we're out. I'm like, okay. So I went to O'Reilly's. We went back there and looked, and Garrett was like, man, we're out. And I was like, yeah, that's what I figured. Might have to order one. And he goes, well, hold on a minute. And he goes, let's recover this thing up and get everything where it needs to be. Bam. Over on the metric side, there somebody had put it back, not paying attention where it belongs. So, boy, I thank Garrett for being such a smart guy. So now this is going to bend. It's going to take a good bend. So we're probably going to bend from the top here. I'm probably going to bend from right behind this and bend it over because it's going to take a pretty sharp bend. I had thought about coming, which I could move. Let's see, a little bit of tweaking this. Thought about coming over into here, but I think that's going to be bend it about right there. It's going to do it. So let's go get that. Brake lines are fairly easy if you'll just think about it. But see, we need this to bend. We need to bend it this way. So I think, and if y'all are doing this first time, just think about it before you do bending. You know, they say cut twice, measure twice, cut once. Check this out 2 or 3 times, bend once, is what I say. It can be a little, and brake lines can be a little intimidating. I mean, I've done a ton of them in my lifetime because I didn't want to pay somebody else to do it. And always, I almost did something wrong. This is the side you want against your fitting, because bending it this way, this is made not to bend. And some, where you're bending close like this, sometimes you're going to have to hold this to get the right angle. Let's see, we're going right in there. So I've got it almost there, a little bit more bend. Hold this so you don't get as much bend lower. And we're close. We are close. So a little bit more of a bend. Get this up behind it here. And let's just give her a little bit more there. That's about all she's going to be able to do, and that's going to be about all we're going to need. Take it out here. Might be easier to get this to fit in down there. Well, I tell you what, starting these, I know you all have been through this. It is crazy. But see, we'll be able to start this one, I think, a little bit easier. Got a little more play in it. There we go. And there's our brake lines. This is our back one. Now, on this back one here, this is using a 1/4 inch line fitting here, and because this is made to run off disc. So it should have a bigger line running to the back, but we left the stock line. I actually had this piece right here. Thought I was going to have to go get an adapter to get this down to the 3/16 size. Luckily, I went over to my brake box, and there this part fits up perfect, good and tight. Now this is the original line that runs to the back. I'm hoping it don't have any leaks and it's a good line. You know, that's saving him a couple $100 right there. And it ain't gonna hurt nothing. And if everything works perfect, he's kind of wanting to put disc on the back of it anyway. So our proportionate valve will work that. So this is our passenger side line hooked up. I'm sorry, driver's side line, and this is our passenger side line. We've got it all out of the way. Now I might get down here. I'll have to get under it. I think I'm going to get down here and try to get this to come over just a little bit more this way. I'd like to see it get a little bit closer. But I mean, it's not in the way. Nothing in the way. All the clearance is good. And we got brakes on there. So now we're ready to fill her up and bleed it. And that'll be a video in its own. So that's bending brake lines and making it happen. So, particularly about my hat, aren't I? I always kind of keep it low. Somebody even commented that aggravates them, but sorry, it's kind of how I wear my hat. Okay, that's a quick lesson on how to bend brake lines. It's real easy if you got your old brake line. You can take that as a demonstration on where you want to make your bends and stuff. When I first started, a lot of times I would take a marker and mark where I wanted to bend. And now, you know, my 66 Impala, I put brake lines on it. Didn't buy them, made them. My 70 GTO, I've made brake lines for it. The 36 Coupe, we've made brake lines for it. So I've made a lot of brake lines over the years. It's pretty easy. Now I will tell you, if you're going to do a complete car, I would call stainless steel brake lines and I would order a kit. It's not super expensive, and the amount of time that you mess with it, you know, it'll eat up a lot of time. That 68 truck, and I'm not sure I did a video on it, but I bought brake lines from stainless steel for it, and it's worked out great. And you know, everything's pre-bent. They have everything you want. This particular car, it just didn't make sense. If you're ordering half a set, it just goes nuts. Now, I actually had a brake line kit for this, but the expense of it, again, was a little bit more. You know, this car, I think I did a story on it. It's a 65 Impala Super Sport. It is set somewhere since around 78, 79 in a barn. The guy moved from in Illinois at that. That's why it's got, this thing has a solid floor and a solid trunk. The fenders are ate up that far on both sides. It's probably not a restorable car. It definitely needs it needs a whole complete doghouse for it in order to make it right. And it needs a quarter panel on the driver's side to make it right. So, but we've got new fuel tank, new fuel lines. We've got new brake lines up front. We've got disc brakes on the front. So it's going to ride and drive pretty good. It's going to be safe. It's just that he had asked me about restoring the rest of it, and I told him I'm just, you know, I'm not interested in that much work. If I had a shop and I was trying to make money, I'd charge him $20,000 and paint it. But you know, I'm not. What I'm painting now is my own stuff. I'm trying to get this car out of here in that 68 because I want to get my GTO painted, and I'd like to come back around another 2 or 3 years and paint my Impala. I'd like to get everything nice. You know, I'm getting older now. I want to drive it, and I want to work on it every day. Plus, I want everything nice for when that time comes and the Lord says, let's go, everything will be done, and my daughter won't have as much to do. So, hey, that's just the truth. Hey, what I'm working on next, and I probably won't do a video on this, taking the rear end out of this. This rear end has play in it, quite a bit of play, and it's killing me. I don't normally rebuild rear ends. I'm not going to rebuild this one. I'm taking it out and taking it to Brad Norris, a buddy of mine that rebuilds rear ends. When he gets done, it'll cost me somewhere around $500 plus the parts. The parts I would have had to buy anyway. For me to do this, I know how to do it. I'm not good at it. Checking the lash and all that stuff, he's good at it. He'll do it right. I won't have to worry about do anything. And the main reason I'm letting him do it, and of course, you know, like he told me, hey, sometimes I mess up one too, is we're getting ready to take this on a 3,000 mile trip, and I do not want the rear end to be a problem, and I'm the one that fixed it. If it's a problem, he's the one that fixed it. I can yell at him. So that's what I'm getting ready to do the rest of the day. I'm probably not going to do a video of this. I might do a quick video after it's showing you. I mean, it's pretty easy taking a rear end out. So no, I won't. But the rest of the day, that's what I'm going to be doing. I've got the all the brake lines and everything on this 65, so I'm going to throw some fluid in the cylinder, and I'm actually going to open up all the bleeder valves and kind of let it ease down into the lines a little bit. Makes it a lot easier when you go to, if you've got a few days. I know an old man that taught me, he drip bleeds all his brakes. He opens them all up, puts a hose on each one, runs them into a container, and lets it drip. It flows down into that container, keeps the top full. It's sort of like a pneumatic bleeder. It just only it's doing it on gravity. What I do is pull the brake fluid through the line. So I'm going to fill it up and let the brake kind of settle in a little bit. And then probably tomorrow, the next day, I'll do a quick video on the way I bleed brakes, which might not be the way you bleed brakes. And it might not even be the way you want to bleed the brakes. So, hey, but I'll show you that anyway. Hey, I'm going to go yank this rear end out. This was video 2 of the brake lines. I hope if you decide to tackle it, you do it. And by the way, tackling these things, I started when I was 16 years old. My dad gave me a car, and I worked on the farm, and he didn't pay me, and I had to fix things on it. And that's how I learned. We had a couple of really good farm hands that showed me how to do things, and I learned. And now everybody has YouTube, and that's, I always tell everybody, I know how to do most everything. I can do almost everything on a car. I don't do rear ends and I don't do transmissions is the 2 things that I don't do. I can, I don't. But a lot of times I'll go watch a video rebuilding a motor or front end or whatever just to get that muscle memory going and remembering, because I don't have a shop that's open every single day. I just take a few projects here and there and mostly buy my own projects. But that's how I learned. I just started learning on my own. I think I've showed you all, and I need to do an update on the 64 because we've hit a spot with it, and I'll tell you on a video because it's got my daughter pretty upset. We're going to back up a little bit, but you know, when she gets done, she's going to have somewhere around $12,000 in that 64 Le Mans. And it's going to be gorgeous and everything's new on it. But she did all the paint. She's done all the work except rebuild the motor herself. Transmission, we bought it. But it's when you can do the work yourself, you can afford this. If you can't do the work yourself, this is a very, very expensive hobby to get into. So, hey, anyway, thanks for stopping by. I hope that shows you a little bit of bending brake lines. And go buy you a brake line. They're $7 for, I think, 20 inches of brake line. Buy you a handheld bender. Play with it. Learn how to do it. Even if you're never going to do it, at least you know what it takes to get the brake line set up on a car. Thank you. Stop by and see me again. Have a great day.